Hello everyone, welcome back to your weekly astrological forecast. This one's going from September 9th through the 15th, and of course sadly it's 9/11 week, so prayers going out way ahead of time. So anyway, this week the moon moves through the signs of Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, and Aquarius, making tons of aspects, especially bumping up against Pluto. That just itself may be a bumpy ride, but let's take it easy, one day at a time. Let me bring over my table. I've got all the charts right here. Okay, so I have this chart set for Monday, but let's do a quick little journey back into today to where I am, where we are when you get to this video. This is set for 5 a.m. September 5th. But it was last night. Well, actually, let's just go ahead and go back. Yeah. So now I think it was more when the, let's go ahead and go forward that one day. Yeah. So, but just put yourself in the frame, in the reference of framing in the moon back here, hitting the south node, and then Venus, but this whole stellium here in Libra. And I can't remember what I said about it last week, but it has turned out to be, or at least one of the things has turned out to be, one of the big things is that the DOJ, Merrick Garland, finally had all the hard evidence to sanction and bring charges against, indictments against Russia's RT, news network, and their editor for his Russian Russian trolls. Yeah, it took a toll on us, it sure did. But the Russian trolls and bots that has been targeting, what he picked up on this time is, because this is something they've been working on since, the Mueller investigation. But this time they figured out how, through this, I guess it was Tenant Media, I think was the name of it, based out of Tennessee, that they were targeting swing states really heavily, to get Trump elected in 2020, and they're, ramping down in 2024 as well. So, so that the Poodster can win the war in Ukraine. And, further along his genocide. So what they got was, with this justice going on here, they have the ability to move forward in a brand new way. What is going on is, I guess, besides the sanctioning, they figured out that Tenant Media was paid $10 million by Russia TV, by RT News. You guys might remember, like, the little green, it was like a RT in green. I mean, I knew years ago it was just Russian propaganda TV. But in case it pops up, if it still pops up in your TV lineup or whatever, it doesn't in mine. But I guess they had YouTube channels. They were all over the social media, just all over the place, spreading their lies. So the DOJ seized 32 internet domains of RTs. So that is significant progress there. So let's go ahead and go. Well, actually, I'll just go here. There we are. This is where we'll be when starting up the week. So the moon has moved through Scorpio. Now everything's coming out in the news, or all weekend long we will be getting more and more news about that. So yeah. The other important little piece that came out yesterday was Liz Cheney endorsed Kamala, said she's going to vote for her, and she was endorsing her, and the orange one. Well, I can't call him the orange one anymore. Well, we always can. We can go with Danny Shea over at Bathrobe Tarot. Just call him Mr. Pumpkinhead if you want. That's what he calls him. So anyway, and shout out Danny. So anyway, back to The spray tanned one, I guess, is what I'll call him. He's finally getting the shade down, but you can see that it's like the spray tan that women will put on for some big, I don't know, interview or some public appearance or whatever, and it's sprayed all over. Well, he does it on his face. You can see he doesn't blend it back to. You can tell anybody with right looking, focused in. You can tell he wears the goggles, and you can, because you can't have it in your eyes, and you can also tell that he wears a shower cap, and he doesn't do any makeup blending. He doesn't, he's not making up for it at all. He just goes out there, and after he does you can imagine what he does to get his hair with all the Aquanet and everything going on, and then he goes out and he does his town hall meeting, and he tanked. He continually tanks. He's not coherent. He can't stay on track. He tries to say he brings things completely around, but he doesn't. He doesn't. And all he does is goes through that same old circular, what do you call it? I don't know, a vicious circle of lies. Lies that have been provided to him through Putin. So there you have it. That's what's really going on. Now, what else? Oh, you know what else is super important is that we're in the eclipse window. Actually, it started last week, and I should have mentioned it, but 2 weeks before, and it officially begins September 17th. We have the lunar eclipse coming in at 25 degrees of Pisces, for the lunar eclipse, that's right. And then 10 degrees of Libra for the solar eclipse, which happens on October 2nd. And so during this eclipse window, it's starting already. So we're talking, more Libra justice, fairness, equality, and moving forward that way, because the eclipses always happen around the nodes. And so I'll link that video under this video. Like if you go when this video is uploaded, under the title, there's these little, it'll have the title, and then there's those little, it says more, I think, and then 3 little dots. You click on those dots, and there's a whole nother drop-down menu, and I'll put it right at the top there. So the important thing to remember is that these the eclipses, they bring in changes. They usher in changes that, hold on, excuse me, that affect us through the end of March next year. They last for 6 months at a time. So this one, we will be in those polarities of Pisces and Libra. So, yeah. And they're not, they're just, it's a partial lunar eclipse at first, the lunar eclipse, the new moon full moon lunar eclipse always happens first, and then you get the solar new moon eclipse. And, but the lunar eclipse will, just to generalize it, they will bring through, or the events might feel more internal, like you're working through things internally. And then the solar eclipse, when it comes around 2 weeks later, so that one will be October 2nd, what happens there is usually things are like right in your face. So, decisions are needing to be made, or the changes that you want to make, or you're doing them. You're in it. You're doing them. And so that, the eclipses are really important. Really, really important. So, okay, so let's dive into this week. Now, this one's set for the 9th at 5 a.m., and you can see, we're fully into Virgo season, and of course, and we're midway with the sun at 17 degrees. We're in the second decan, so we're still learning lessons, but we're almost done. 2 more days, and we'll be in 3 more days. We'll be into the phase of blooming, blossoming, deepening, something like that, like blue. It's just out there, big and big, bigger and bigger. And with Virgo, it's going to be facts. It's going to be facts about useful information. And with the opposition, so we're starting this already. With the opposition to Saturn, it's going to be about government, people in government positions who are trying to gaslight the people. Okay, so Congress, remember, there were 147 Republicans who voted to overturn the election. These are the guys I'm talking about. They're united behind Trump. Well, I don't know if they all still are, but they were. I have an entire playlist for. I didn't read on all of them, but just the ones that we know. they're pretty much in there. So, and reading on them individually, I can't. There's no way I can remember. I do remember that Jeffrey Clark dude, even though he's not a congressperson. I do remember not getting that he would be going into, jail or anything going down, but I thought that he would have a major health issue. And so it's turning out that the re-indictment, what do you call it, the superseding indictment that Jack Smith has put through. I guess with those, when they're superseding, they can add or remove people, and they can add or remove charges. And he hasn't changed any charges yet, but he did remove, what's his name, Jeffrey Clark, which, he was pretty much the guy the attorney, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but if I'm remembering correctly, I think that he was the guy that was the attorney who put together the plan or had things written up in writing. And I think, was he the one that Trump was trying to appoint as an AG or put him into some high position, and everyone else squawked about it and said they would step down and resign if Trump did that. So he didn't do it. But anyway, that guy has a lot of guilt, and he might get away with it legally for a while, but I think it's going to get to him later on, or he'll just have that, a health event that will keep him out of prison, but, he's somewhere else. Yeah. So, okay. But focusing into this week, now this is Monday after. Now today is being the 5th. We do have oral arguments that are going on behind the scenes with Jack Smith, so with the prosecuting, team, and then Trump's defense team, and that's happening, today with Judge Chutkan. So with Venus in Libra already having crossed over the South Node, I'm thinking that, because I went back to that other chart. Remember, the moon was here was it for today? Hold on, let's do it again. Let's go back. 6, 5. Okay, here's today, 5 a.m. Even though right now it's actually 8:30, so the moon was in here somewhere. So, maybe we'll get some news about it, because the moon rules the public, and with Venus, it has to do with bringing in harmony, but it can also relate to releasing, because the moon can release information that has to do with how some people are just greedy and very indulgent, and we know who that's all about, right? And with Mercury squaring Uranus this is an applying square, so this is still going on. That brings through, again, information about, I'll just call him the orange one because we're all so used to that. Okay, here we go, back to Monday. So with Monday, so through between now, Thursday and through the weekend, the moon will have traveled all the way through all those stages, all those degrees of Libra, and almost to the end of Scorpio. So we're at that nth degree of something coming out, being revealed, being seen, that can be quite challenging, right? Because Scorpio on the dark side can reveal, somebody who has just destroyed themselves, who has gone completely into self-sabotage mode for so long, and instead of, like the phoenix rising out of the ashes, they're stuck, and that's Trump. That's Trump. He's an energy vampire. He's a degenerate. He destroys opportunities for himself and everyone else, and he's just, his own life force is working against him. And with the opposition, look at this exact opposition here to Uranus, I would expect that, by Monday, we are all going to see something that's very shocking. And I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't have something to do with him. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And so with Mercury, we can see, now we've gone out a little bit, not too far, but just a little bit out of orb with the exact square to Uranus. Mercury, the reason I'm bringing this up is because Mercury, is our messenger. It rules our news and our votes. And with the square over to Uranus, again, something shocking there. And in fact, Mercury is in a T-square. You see how we've got a square up here to the moon and then over to Uranus? So combining all of these planets, the message, it has to do with facts. We're in some, opening up to something new here with that 0 degrees of Virgo. And Virgo being useful information, but on the dark side, somebody who's just in chaos and who's a hoarder. We know he's a hoarder. He hoarded everything out of, right out of the White House and took it to Mar-a-Lago, and, 150 boxes full of stuff that they never even got everything back. So, and that's over here connected to Uranus. Well, I think this could be pretty shocking for him and his financial, situation. Or it can reveal the things that he's done to make money, to get money. Now, Mars here with this opposition, but this is an applying opposition. Look how Mars is at 2 degrees, so we're 6 degrees apart here. Well, actually, I'm only about 5, because this is almost 3 degrees here. Mars in Cancer, so Mars wants something. It's going in a certain direction, whether we like it or not. And, we kind of have to get on board with it. It will activate an area of our life, so you need to figure out what house that lands in your chart. And sometimes it can be 2 houses, especially as it continues to move. But it will move energy, and to the direction of Cancer, we're talking about how do we feel? How are our tummies feeling? Are we feeling vulnerable? Are we, maybe needing to be a little more objective and not so... But then again, if you don't get in touch with how you feel, how do you heal? You can't. You can't. You have to be willing to feel everything emotionally. I'm not saying you have to feel physical pain. We have drugs for that. But emotional pain, if you don't feel it, you don't heal it, and it stays stuck in you. And with this opposition to Ceres, because we're headed in this direction, there can be a major confrontation at first as to what you need to do to get on board, to nurture and take care of yourself and create all this safety that, these 2 cardinal signs really want to, have. There's a willingness to work and go to a place in your soul that wants to heal and be more secure and more intuitive, more protected. There's protection, the need for protection here. So healthy boundaries come into play, and then the hard work that it would take to set up, to have those boundaries in place, and to be... With Capricorn, again, we're in that realm of your duty, your self-responsibility to control your own life, to control the time you spend, and to get out of the whole status quo kind of thing, and just work on yourself and not worry about what the neighbors think or what else is, Just take care of yourself. Self-respect is within this opposition here. So there can be confrontations and breakthroughs. And especially for women, and especially the men that love to protect the women in their lives and protect the feminine, because without the feminine and without family, we're all doomed. You know what I mean? I mean, if we don't have children in the future, which is all, cancer is all about that, what's going to happen, right? I mean, we really do need to protect the family and protect the future of all the generations to come. And so if we're not thinking that way, then and if we don't have our society set up in a way that nurtures the feminine and the whole process of motherhood and parenting, and it doesn't matter if it's surrogate or IVF or or two men, two women. I don't care about any of that, but we're talking about nurturing the next, the furthering of humanity. And then here's Pluto at that nth degree of Capricorn. Just for a while, it'll go direct October 11th. It's still retrograde now. All the planets here, just a reminder, with the red, where you can see the red degrees are retrograde. So we're in a holding pattern of a little bit of a do-over going on. But October 11th, Pluto will go direct, but it won't make it back to Capricorn. I'm sorry, back to Aquarius, because this is the last phase. This is the third and final phase, and never again in this lifetime will we. I mean, unless we died between, unless we crossed over, between now and October, November, somewhere in there, even, we'd have to die and then come right back in. That'd be the only way that we would get, we would experience Pluto in Capricorn or Aquarius again, because it takes 243 to 248 years to get around the zodiac. So this is the last blast. This is the last sucking up of, well, I don't know if it's going to be. It depends. Everybody has their own way that they use their power, that they recognize people who have power, and then what do you do with it? Are you in your own power, or do you give yourself away to somebody else because they have more money, or they have control? So we're working out power issues. We're always working out power issues with Pluto. So it's all about personal empowerment and freeing yourself from the status quo. And you can see these two sextiles here today. And for the next couple hours, 3 hours or so. So I'll say by 8 a.m. it might be out of orb, but right now we have two sextiles coming off of, up to Pluto. Pluto's at the apex. And with Neptune, we're talking, our spiritual foundation, our creativity, our sensitivities, our intuition, our compassion, all things sensitive and empathic. And Neptune's also really good for, well, it can be good for immigration, but it can be challenging. It can be really good for film and movies and all creative music, everything, all the arts. And then with the sextile up to Pluto, more power to you. And with the moon in Scorpio over here at close to the last degrees, the last 2 degrees all morning, this can be a deeply creative and deeply transformative time. There is definitely the opportunity to become empowered within yourself, so that you're in your own authority. This is at the height of the highest vibration of Capricorn. It is being in your own authority, in your integrity, because you're in your authority, and it doesn't have anything to do with what's written in any book, what anybody has channeled. It doesn't have anything to do with anything other than what you know deep down in your spirit, in your soul, in your bones, in the constitution of who you are. You know what's right and what's wrong. So it's always about coming back to the manifestation of love. And here we have Saturn in Pisces, and we have a little semi-square there, so there's a little bit of maybe some indecision about which way to go. That's up today as well. Yeah, and then we have also, with the moon in Scorpio today, we have the trine over to Neptune, all early morning here. So this is nice with this applying trine. I mean, here we have a fast-moving, graceful, easy way. This would be a great morning for meditation. This would be I know it's Monday work week, but if you can get up earlier, like give yourself an extra hour or so and get in some meditation time, write down some good affirmations about what you are creating. Put yourself there. You already have it, right? You already have it. Prayer and affirmation needs to be in the present tense of you're already experiencing it. That's how we bring it in. And then with Pluto trining Uranus, there's and especially with Uranus and Taurus, there's that possibility for some direct, intuitive guidance that can help you with all levels of abundance, from Taurus to Capricorn. And then with all this space being held in, getting the facts and tracking patterns and understanding, oh yeah, that's why I never got to manifest that, because I never really put myself in the sense of having it. I've been going around for years just thinking, I never get that. And it's not true. Well, it didn't have to be true. It was true because, that's the way it is. And then some things, sometimes we just have to accept that they are much harder because the pattern in us is so strongly imprinted from past lifetimes that we're working through everything. And then the most important thing is to never, ever, ever give up. And so my prayer for you guys is that with this journey of Mars moving through the sign of Cancer, is that you never give up. You always keep working. Keep working on those false beliefs within, because they are like the guiding force in your life that causes you to experience whatever you're experiencing. Now, it doesn't have to be that perfect, it's all perfect and no, it's not that. It's spiritual law is very wide and flexible and variable. So it's not this for that or this gets that. It's not. It can be. Usually 50% of the time you have a lot to do with what's going on in your life, and then the rest of it is the 50% of what's going on coming at you in relationships and, when you're moving through life. So you have to filter out to, don't take things so personally when things don't go right, because it's probably somebody else just projecting onto you their reality. And if you don't have a strong enough sense of self within, which is what Pluto sojourning back into Capricorn can help us get, is if you don't have that strong sense of self, then you can go, wait, is that me or is that them? Things aren't going the way I want, so do I blame them or do I blame myself? How about you don't blame anybody, and it's just an opportunity to go, well, wait a minute, something doesn't feel right. Something's triggering me. So what is it? Is it some righteous anger at the injustices of society? And so usually it's that. And then, because you're feeling either someone being unjust to you or you're seeing it happen to others and it's triggering. So then from there, It's an opportunity to make a new choice and stay really, really, really focused and committed and tenaciously in that energy of the vibration of what you want to experience. We are constantly, manifesting with every breath, with every intention coming from the inside out. We can be walking. What's the right word? I guess just a walk, like walking going through life in a walking meditation and manifesting outwardly. If you can stay focused on what you really want, and if you can keep yourself from getting distracted, right? That's the challenge. And I say that especially because, and you know how it was when we had this stellium back here in Gemini, where there's so much information coming in. We still have Jupiter in Gemini, and there is still so much information coming in. But the difference now is that we've got all this discerning Virgo energy over here with the ability, and it's going to get stronger and stronger as Mercury gets closer and closer to the sun. And Mercury never goes too far from the sun anyway, but now that they're both in Virgo, the deal is we're making distinctions. We're remembering, or it's being brought to our attention. Like who was the idiot that went to Arlington Cemetery for a photo op and did the thumbs up in front on section 60? Like what? And then that reminded all of us about what he's done in the past when it comes to our military. He doesn't give respect. He puts them down. Is that a guy that you want in charge of our military? Like what? So these things come out, and then we get to filter it through and make a decision, and it's giving everyone, because we're 60 some days from the election. So this is perfect to have all this new information coming out. And this happens every election we have. It's always, or our presidential elections anyways, are always, Virgo season and then Libra season, and then we're in Scorpio season, and bam, we get to vote. Or some of us get to vote a lot earlier because it's by mail. Or overseas, ballots are coming in from our military. So Mars and Cancer moving close. We already have the opposition, but moving closer and closer into an exact opposition to Ceres. That is really important because with Mars ruling the military, they're going to want to protect themselves even more. And all the news that gets out there about the way Donald Trump thinks about them, more the better. This is good. It's good to get out. Now, it's also important to notice, and this is why I left the standard orbs in for this week. I don't know if I'll keep it there, but if I take it to the tide orb, you won't see the yod that's here. So see how, of course, we've been having for quite some time Neptune sextiling Pluto. But notice these two in conjunct. See that one green line and then this green line, and pointing down to Mercury. So this is going to be a really, really powerful week for news. A very powerful week for news. It's also on the personal level a powerful week for us to get our diet and our health care under wraps. Self-care, health care. All Virgo things have to do with things that are very practical, and we're learning new ways to create opportunities to be healthier and more discerning and more discriminating, and making those distinctions. And then if we work it really good, if we do it really well every time Mercury's especially in the sign of Virgo, or any planets and work in the sign of Virgo, if we work it really good, we can bring in some semblance of divine order in our lives. That's the promise that's out there, but you got to work for it. And Virgo, we don't mind it. It's Virgo season. We don't mind it. We're used to it. And it's great that we're moving towards the fall. well, that'll be the 22nd, the autumn, I can never say it, autumnal. It's the autumn equinox. The fall equinox is easier to say. So, but anyway, we are making adjustments based on news that's coming out and new things that we've learned and new things that we are continuing to learn, how to take care of ourselves better and get our lives in order. And when it comes to the government, the sun is shining brightly on what needs to change. Oppositions here bring in that confrontation of, how do you like being gaslighted? Like, imagine you're in the military and you see Donald Trump do that. Imagine you are in the military and you lost someone who is buried in section 60 of Arlington's National Cemetery. And you see that clown get up there and do his photo op, thumbs up. And not only that, it gets even worse. They pushed his campaign pushed one of the employees, one of the people they're trying to protect. They pushed her. The Army should do something about that, but so far they're saying they won't, which is heartbreaking to me. That right there, that's Saturn and Pisces on the dark side, because that is gaslighting. That, they're letting him get away with it. They're telling that employee that she's not important enough and he's more important than her, and they're not going to follow, they're not going to try to sue him. They should come down on him so hard. Pisses me off. Kicks in my Mars in kicks in all my, I have 4 planets in Cancer, and Mars is right on my sun Monday, so I might get even more pissy. Anyway, gaslighting here, the light being shown. Maybe something else is going to happen. Maybe he's going to do something dumb on the weekend, and that's going to come through. There's a real possibility there that we're seeing something shocking. Mercury to Uranus, Sun to Saturn. Oh my goodness. It's all so possible. And then the moon opposing Uranus. I think Monday is a day to kind of hold on to our hats. And then notice, that we've got Mars squaring, it's right now, it's at the south node. Venus is coming out of the, it's still, it's definitely gone. But this is an applying, so the energy's stronger here. So protective, fighting, activating, motivating, enthusiastic energy that wants to win and get something done, is bumping up against the injustices of the past, relationships of the past. There could be some disappointments, some, I thought I could trust them, but no, man, it turns out they were talking behind my back. Or they have opinions about me that I didn't realize. That can come through. And of course, because Mars is at the, and it'll be a tighter orb as time goes by. Mars moves pretty quick too. It's tied to the North Node. So Mars is down here at this pivot point, figuring out what it wants. And in Cancer, it wants protection and loyalty and safety and most of all, sensitivity. And then it's moving in this direction that there will be a square up to Saturn. And Saturn is always about maturing, and nobody likes to be gaslighted, and nobody likes any kind of two-faced energy, which is what we've got done here with Jupiter and Gemini. So we're learning lessons here, like who to trust and who isn't trustworthy. So that's a real thing. So let's go ahead and go. Let me switch this up a little bit to hours. Okay. I'm going to go forward because we're going to get, the moon's going to move into Sag. Okay, right there. 11 a.m. The moon's in Sag. Actually, a little bit before. Would have probably been, I don't know, 10:30, I bet. And now we have a sextile over to Pluto and a trine down to Uranus. So we've got the aspect of the architect. So now the flavor, the mood of the way we're all feeling, it's like deep and intense and doesn't mind conflict when it comes to Scorpio. But then when we get to Sag, it's like, all right, we know something happened, something shifted within me, or something we have seen on the news. And then by 11 a.m., we're like, whoa, okay, so we've got a more direction. Cancer, both Cancer and Sag can tend to be kind of patriotic because, Sag is ruled by Jupiter, but it's very directional. When it's in Sag, that flavor is just very directional. So it's ambitious, right? It also rules religion, and yeah, people can think that they know the right way, and so it can turn into like a religious my way or the highway kind of a thing. But it can also be, very intuitive and optimistic and open, and and it doesn't have anything to do with any type of a religion or rules. So there's the possibility for self-empowerment that way, and it can come through very quickly this morning. Like suddenly you just know the right way to go, because most of all, Sag and Jupiter are all about, what do you believe? What is your belief? And when your beliefs change, like think of Liz Cheney, after January 6th, and she saw what happened. January 6th, 2021, she saw what happened, and she just, on a dime, changed her opinion of Donald Trump. Now, none of us probably would like her politics, but I have great respect for the fact that she spoke out against him, and she said, no way. And she led a very effective, she was one very important people on the January 6th, panel, that big team. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Sag also rules freedom and travel, speaking up for ourselves, having faith in ourselves, trying to figure out what means matter most to us. Like we're exploring our life purpose. Sometimes we're going after experiencing things in a new way that bring in more meaning into our lives. And but again, we have to be careful of patriotic and religious dogma. But we are headed towards 9/11 this week, and the moon will be in Sag, and this is just this is a week of grieving. And so it might hit you all of a sudden, especially with Mars in Cancer. It's very sensitive, and all this Piscean energy over here is very sensitive. So, and you can see this morning that the moon is trining Neptune. So we're already starting into that, like picking up on this other world, all of these souls and spirits, souls who crossed over and went home to their spirit and probably have reincarnated again already. I know some people that I think came from that experience and came right back in so that they could, heal. So, yeah. Let's see, is there anything else? The moon squaring Mercury is important here. Again, details, information, facts that create a shift in what you can handle, what you can take in. The moon is like, it relates to our need for safety and comfort and belonging, in to something, right? And it's most bottom line is it's our evolutionary challenge to come back home to ourselves and belong to ourselves. So with the moon and Sag, we've got a deeper direction going there, but there's information maybe that supports that, because there's a confrontation or decision point here with that square. So yeah. So okay, so let's go ahead and go to Tuesday. And Tuesday we're starting out at 5, but I have to talk about some of the aspects in the afternoon. So this is Tuesday, September 10th. We are getting close to 9/11. The moon is still in this trine to the north node, even though it's kind of a separating aspect there. But there's the connection to all this fire energy here. Like, if you know what you want, then you know which direction you want to go, and you just continually keep renewing that focus. It creates this is kind of like, that blazing your own trail right here. But to have the moon connected to one of the nodes of the moon is very nice. And then over here, we've got this inconjunct coming from Venus to Saturn. So there's some adjustment. Again, relationships that aren't based in equality and fairness and care for each other will be bumping up against something. And, I don't know. With Pisces, it's the thing is, so Saturn's about maturing. Pisces, it's about being careful to not be all over the place. It's about being careful to not allow yourself to be victimized. So, you may have to speak up for yourself, or you may have to just decide that relationship isn't worth, investing in anymore because of the betrayals that probably people have gone through while the moon was in Scorpio. And now that it's in Sag, you're headed in a different direction. And you can see we've got a sextile here from the south node and up to the moon, and then over to the north node. So you guys know that's the aspect of the architect, which is a building. So we've got opportunity here and a nice flow to the future. So opportunities for taking whatever you needed from the past and moving forward into a new opportunity with your sense of self intact. And then we have Mercury now in a great trine going up to, I love it when the planets are in Virgo, when we have these other Capricorn, things going on, because that gives us another link. And we do have quite a bit of Earth energy going on, right? Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So that balances things out, keeps us more grounded and practical and focused on what matters most. So yeah, so with the trine, there's a nice flow of information that is very useful. Okay, facts that are useful. And still the square from Mercury to Uranus is going on. So some of the information can be kind of shocking, but it's okay. We can work with that. No big deal. You can see Mars has moved ahead one more degree. So let's look at the afternoon. So let me get us to at least noon here. Let's see how the moon is starting to exactly oppose Jupiter. But let's go. So, I should say what that means first. Just because it's in my head doesn't mean it came out of my mouth yet, right? So the moon in the midway, in the second decan of the sign, brings in the lessons that we've learned, the experiences that we wanted to bring through. We're starting to figure out, okay, now I really know which way I want to go. And with the opposition to Jupiter, there can be some confrontation about, which way do I go? Because I'm hearing something over here. I'm learning something over here. Because the polarity of Gemini and Sag can be lies versus truth. So if you're looking for the truth, I mean, that's always the question, is what really is the truth here? What's really going on? And there can be a lot of disparate, different facts even going on at the same time. Like, this is true, this is true, this is true. But this other piece is definitely a lie, and they're applying all these other different truths in order to try to make it look like it's all true, but it's trying to cover up one big lie. That is like pure evil, right? So we can expect to see that. We can definitely expect to see that. Now, and the moon, as it moves through the sign of Sag, it will cross over Donald John Trump's moon and his south node. I think his is like at 20, pretty sure it's at 22 degrees. So, maybe he's gonna be lying at a faster rate than he normally does. I mean, I don't know. I figure every time he takes in a breath or exhales, I mean, if he's breathing, he's lying. But he's got Jupiter, which can be excess, and his chart is pretty much he's just a bloviating bag of hot air. It's just all fire and air. So Jupiter's up here on his, crossing over that stellium he has, where it's shocking because he has Uranus and his north node and his sun, and so this polarity, this thing going on right here, this confrontation going on right here. Well, gee, what else happens today? It's the 10th. This is him gearing up for the debate, the day of the debate. Okay, so let's come forward. Now, I don't know what time it's going to start. I'm just going to guess that it's like 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm just guessing. I haven't checked. So there it is, 3 p.m. Pacific, which would be 6 p.m. Eastern. And so while the debate's going on, the gearing up for it and all of it going on, this will conjunct his south node of the past, which is a very karmic point, and also his natal moon. And Jupiter will be up above, possibly just blowing things up. Jupiter also rules courts of law. He's going to be lying, of course, we know. That's the only thing he has. And he's probably going to be quite nasty, especially with Mars in Cancer. He's probably, going through... hold on one second. I need to get some water. That's better. So remember, he has Venus and Saturn conjunct in Cancer. I just can't remember. Oh, hold on. I've got his chart over here. This guy, I swear. Yeah. Okay. So here's that south node and the moon. Okay, 20 and 21 degrees. So Sag is right here in his fourth house of home and emotional body and roots and the past and all of that. It's very karmic. This is a karmic point. His fourth house, right down here, this IC, this is a very karmic point. And having the moon cross over that, I mean, all of these days leading up to the debate are just awful for him. And then see how his Sun, North Node, and Uranus are all in Gemini. And that is where Jupiter is. So Jupiter's up here, blowing things up, making him excessively talk. And I guess they're going to have hot mics. He won't be muted. I guess Kamala wants us to just hear whatever's going on there. And, these are this is majorly a problem. Now, Mars in Cancer, so Mars won't hit his Saturn and Venus for some time. So that'll be a little ways off. But then again, I don't know, Mars, how long does it stay in one sign? It depends on it. Let's see, is it going to be, will we be having a retrograde? Moved into Cancer. My notes are over here. September 4th, yeah, just a couple days ago. Or last week, 6 days ago. It'll move into Leo in November 4th, so day before we're voting. That's kind of interesting. So this whole lead up to the election is Mars in Cancer. So we are going to be very, very enthusiastic about protecting ourselves. So he didn't have a chance. I can't see him winning. There's just no way. But then Mars will go retrograde and it won't finally make it all the way through. Oh shoot, yeah, I don't have notes on that of when it moves into Leo November, then it retrogrades in December, and then doesn't go direct until February of next year, which puts it at 17 degrees of Cancer. So that answers my question. How long? So it's going to be some time to have. Well, by November we'll be into a little bit of that experience of Leo, but then it's going to retrograde and go back. So we're going to have quite some time to have the experience of Mars in Cancer. So that'll be quite some time for us to be much, much more enthusiastic about fighting for family and fighting for our rights and fighting for protections, especially of the most vulnerable, which are women and children. Children, women, the elderly. And this is the polarity here. So this, I know a lot of astrologers don't talk much about Ceres, but it is a dwarf planet, just like Pluto and just like Eris. And of course, with Eris and Chiron in Aries, we're all fighting for, we want survival of the new. And with Venus over here approaching exact opposition, there's all this unification, there's the confrontation, but the breakthrough, the possibility of breakthrough for fairness, justice, and equality. And in your lives personally, in your relationships, like how do you move forward with somebody if you don't trust them? How do you move forward with a business arrangement if it's crooked? Right? How do you move forward in life if you don't stay balanced? You have crash and burn experiences is what happens. And so, this Virgo season is great. It's just absolutely great for fine-tuning and figuring out what's really going on. And then trying things out. Saturn will help us to test things over time. But back to this polarity with Mars and Ceres. So remember, Ceres is everything to do with women's reproductive cycles and what we will work for hard to protect. It's our loyalty to protect ourselves and our family and humanity and animals, and it has connotations with food and farming, and most of all the transitions that a woman goes through during her life. So it's also related to grief and separation. So the fear of grief and losing what we had in the past has made us feel very vulnerable, and all those issues are going to really be coming up throughout the end of the year. And yeah. So we're going to be feeling it all. It's going to tap into, when Mars taps into Leo, we're going to be much more courageous about everything that we've been figuring out within, because this is Cancer is a very internal process. The sign of Cancer brings you more deeply in. And then this, there's the battle here, but also a breakthrough. And you can see, right, Ceres is still squaring the nodes. Even though it's at 8 degrees, we're still within that orb. So, yeah. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else for Tuesday? Yeah, well, you can see the moon. The moon squares Saturn. That's important there. That's happening. It's just going to continue on. There's the exact square by 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Tuesday. This is a serious square going on here, a serious confrontation. The squares bring in obstacles, but sometimes it is not necessarily good to act. But it'll make you feel like you have to do something. You have to make a decision. Sometimes it's just about being aware. So there could be an awareness, and especially, we're moving toward, we're right in the middle probably of the debate between Kamala. And here she's the Libra, and she has, so transiting Eris now is on her moon, because her moon's at 27 degrees of Aries. So she is not taking anything. Just a little refresher what Eris is all about. She's a dwarf planet like Pluto, and she's a feminine counterpart of Pluto and Mars, and she's been throughout all time. It takes her 556 to 558 years to get around the planet, to get around the zodiac. She moved into Aries in 1926, and she will stay in Aries until 1948. I'm sorry, 2048. 2048. I don't think I'll be on the planet that long. But so when she was born, it was at about 9 degrees or so of 9 or 10 degrees, I can't remember, of Aries. And now it's transited to, Eris has moved enough to conjunct with her her moon. So everything inside of her is all about this very revolutionary, we don't take it anymore, the feminine struggle for equality. That's it. It's the feminine struggle for equality. And it's the divine feminine connected to righteous anger. When, just another little side note, when Eris, when Uranus was back here in Aries, what was that, like, I don't know, no, couldn't have been, I'm going to guess that it was around, because this is 2024, yeah, it was pretty, well, the Me Too movement, I'm trying to remember when the Me Too movement started, but see, that's the thing, is it started and it lasted for quite some time, but when Uranus was conjunct Eris, it brought through the Me Too, the awareness of the Me Too movement that was going on. So that's really important. And so now here's another interesting thing with Venus. So here we are, just think, put yourself back at the debate, or forward in time, because this is Thursday, but we're going forward in time to Tuesday. The moon is still sextiling Venus. Venus has to do with women and equality and fairness, and money, equality and fairness, relationship equality, fairness. The opportunity will be to listen to what she has to say about it, and he's not going to like it because he's the biggest misogynist in the world. Well, him and Pootie. And then, well, and maybe even Elon Musk, those guys they're not going to like any of this. But with the moon right here at this apex point, like a hinge point here, and then connecting over to Chiron, and every bit that it goes forward, every half hour, throughout the whole debate, it's also connecting to, it will connect to Eris. It's just like bam, bam. And then here we are with Venus sextiling Jupiter, he's not going to be able to handle it because all this is just like on his head. And then the sextile over to Chiron from here, there's another. I mean, this is a mystic rectangle right here, actually. This is considered a mystic rectangle. So more power to you, Kamala. More power to you. I think she's probably going to work the border issue, the immigration issue, immensely. She's going to, I mean, she's just, if he shows up and he makes it and he doesn't fall down on his face before he gets there, she's, you know what? It wouldn't even matter. If he doesn't show up, she'll still go, and it'll turn into a Kamala's town hall event for herself. She'll still go, and everybody wants to listen to what she has to say. So there's that. Okay. I think that's good for Tuesday. Let's go ahead and go to Wednesday. Wednesday, 9/11. My heart goes out to everyone who has lost anyone, and all of the first responders, and kudos, hats off, high fives to John Stewart for all the work that he did to get some relief for them. It took forever. Our Senate is, I mean, it irks me unbelievably. So the moon's at 21 degrees of Sag. What? Hold on. I gotta look at something. Hold on. I'm wondering, I gotta look at the Sibley chart real quick. Sorry. Here, I'll pause it, and then it won't take your time. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I wanted to look and see what the ascendant was. So the USA's Sibley chart here is 5:10 p.m. Independence Day, so July 4, 1776. And the reason we figured out that it was so accurate was because when 9/11 hit, Pluto was right here on the ascendant. Like the planet of destruction was right on our ascendant. So actually, now that's interesting. So during the debate, the transits will the moon will be right on our 1776 USA independence chart. Okay, that's interesting. All right. So, but opening up, I started the chart at 4 a.m. so we could see this exact opposition going on, which I already spoke so much about it, I won't go into it again. The inconjunct coming off of Venus is really tight as well, like within 1 minute. Notice we've got 46 minutes here and 47 minutes here. But, with Venus and Saturn both in the second decan of their signs, we're talking about the adjustments that everybody is going to want to be making, I imagine, with voting because of wanting unity and equality and fairness and not to be gaslighted by anyone, and understanding we're all at the place now where we've seen how slow it takes. I mean, how slow government works, like how just because of the fact that our legal system is set up where people can, if they have enough money, they can appeal. I think some new laws should be set up and changed so that courts can't be monopolized by these people with power, with money, which gives them power to slow things down. I think appellate laws need to be changed. But anyway, the way it is now, we can all see what happens when a monster gets into a position of power and how long it takes to get rid of them and how long it takes to try to bring through some semblance of justice. He has been abusing the United States of America since 2015. Well, actually, no, I'll take it back. Since he was old enough to be in business cahoots with his dad, think of all the abuse to the state of New York. I mean, his dad was a slumlord. They've been completely unjust. Incredible injustices have occurred because of them. The whole, Trump family. This is the Trump crime family. So 9/11, I think, with that square to Saturn, and the moon. So 4 a.m. in the morning with the moon. This would be 7 a.m. East Coast. And this approaching moon moving up. So let's say it's 4 a.m. on the East Coast. This energy is still happening. It's coming into orb. In fact, let's see. Let's go back. How many hours does it take to get the moon? Right there. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's late. It's 5 p.m. It's where we were last time when we were talking. So, yeah. So from debate time all the way through to the next morning and 9/11, this is not going to be easy for him. And we are going to be in a position of seeing the truth. More and more truth will come out. And more people in the United States will, well, actually in all countries, will see what the truth is. Because with the moon squaring the sun, the moon's up here in this exact square to the sun. Well, earlier, it'll be exact. And then waning. So when it's approaching energy, the energy is really strong. And then it hits an exact point, and it's like, bam. And then it starts waning. So it's waning by 4 a.m., but it's still there. And this is a challenge to the status quo, to anybody who's ever been victimized or gaslighted or lied to or cheated on. And then Saturn rules the government. So this is not going to go well for the GOP. This is not going to go well for Donald Trump. And every hour that goes by, more and more truth will be coming out. All the other aspects are the same. Yeah, the sun is still a little bit of an orb there. So let's go ahead and go. I want to show you. Wait, 12. Oh yeah, 12 p.m. Okay, so I have to go away. Well, that's 0 there. That's 9. That's 8. 7. Yeah, so 7. That's 7:38. Anyway, so in the evening, 9/11. During the evening, the moon moves into Capricorn, and this brings in a much more serious vibe. Capricorn, Saturn, serious, right? Saturn rules Capricorn. And we've got a T-square going on with the nodes. The moon's hooking up with Ceres every hour that goes by. It's going to be a very solemn evening. And of course, no matter what sign the moon was in, 9/11, of course, will be. But every time this year, the moon comes back to that same sign. It's just this is what it's like every year on 9/11. So it's serious reflection, and then with the opposition to Mars, again, safety, security, protection. It's emotional. It's it's intense. There's quite a bit of intensity here. But then maybe trying to build a new foundation is also there. with the moon moving through the earlier signs, earlier degrees, I'm sorry, 0 to 9 degrees is the first decan of the sign. So that is the period of developing a new foundation. So, yeah, okay, we also have the sun. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and go to Thursday because it's still there, yeah. So the sun's at 20 degrees. So has now entered the third decan of deepening and blooming and blossoming. So in Virgo, it's either very, very practical and discriminating and moving really closely into some divine order, or it could be the opposite where it's, somebody who just doesn't integrate any, well at all because they've been so, just awful. Awful. So with the sun in conjunct over to, at first it's going to be Chiron and then it'll be Eris. There are adjustments. People who are awful tend to be fearful. The fear is on top of the hate. And the fear is there trying to cover up the actual hate. So, yeah, so there's that. And with that in conjunct, there's, something doesn't feel right. Something it makes you feel ill at ease. So we have to be careful. I set this for 4:30 in the morning. It's a time for working hard. It's a time for completing projects or working to get them to completion. It's a time for precise, accounting details, things like that. And if we're working that, we'll move forward well. And the gifts of Aries will come through, that being able to move forward, trusting our instincts. If you've got the details and you're, correct, like imagine you're doing your books or something like that. And or maybe because we're moving into the last quarter of the year, if you're starting to get your tax records together, things like that, this can create a whole. It's no fun to get that started and get into it, or if you're starting to thinking in terms of recycling, and that could be more Scorpio, but with Virgo, it's still eco sciences and things like that. What we can experience under this aspect would be being able to move forward and assert yourself so that there's a lot more independence. All your gifts that you've worked hard on to be independent, there's work there. It's okay to work hard on independence, always. So I don't mind seeing that one there. Now, the Venusian adjustment over to Saturn here, that aspect's still there. So it has to do with those relationships I talked about before. Mercury, we have an inconjunct to the North Node. So there's some new information that can create an adjustment. Like you get the information and then you're like, oh, okay, now I know which way to go. I can take this information and use it for good. But it's still, it's an adjustment. You started off, and the energy moving quickly up to the moon and Ceres that's very useful. But there's a little adjustment here because maybe some new piece came through that you weren't counting on. And that's okay because this energy up here is all about developing a new foundation right now anyway. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go forward a little bit. I want to keep checking the moon here. Yeah. We've got the sun. Let's see. Let's keep going through to Yeah, just to at least, oh, that's 8:30 on. Let's go ahead and go all the way to noon, like I have here in my notes. So that's 12:30. Let's go to 11:30. Yeah, that's where the sun's, okay. So 20 degrees here, 20 degrees here. We have the sun square to Jupiter. I actually like that square because it will, with both, in that third decan of the sign, something's coming out. It's information. There are facts that are coming out. September 12th, Thursday, September 12th, by noon, we can expect major facts coming out. There's probably going to be a big news dump, and then it's like, oh, it might be a little TMI, but we can work it. And it has to do probably with something legal, and because Jupiter's involved in legal information, and the sun, when the sun always shines a spotlight. So there's that. I don't know what it'll be, but with the opposition to, we're still in that orbit of the opposition to Saturn, we can bet it has to do with some government figures. And meanwhile, Mercury is in even a tighter trine up to Ceres and the moon. And the moon's on the other side of Ceres, but it's conjunct. So that's, yeah. I think some grief and separation from somebody's, some money. Maybe there's something. I mean, I thought we were supposed to find out. Maybe that's just tomorrow, though. Find out about E. Jean Carroll's appeal, or Trump's appeal on her. That's supposed to be resolved too. So maybe there's a lot of talk that way about so many different cases. Let's just put it under in the basket of Trump trials. Information about Trump trials coming out all week. And the sun, you can see, is also trining. We're beginning the trine for now. This will go into next week as well. From today all through 7 days from now into next Thursday, the following Thursday, we'll have the sun trine Uranus. So again, Uranus in Taurus is all about awarenesses about money and assets and possessions. And this can be good for us on a personal level, figuring out the details that are very useful to plan for your safety, security, and financial future. And Mercury is sextiling Mars. Or Mars is coming into orb there. So there's an opportunity there for thinking in terms of what do you want to build, and then what work is entailed because of the trine there. We've got the aspect of the architect here. Are you motivated enough to, I don't know, maybe it's a diet thing, get your diet in order, finances in order. Maybe you're thinking about doing something in your home that's a little different. Maybe you're thinking about renovation or something like that. And then there can be some major breakthroughs here, because we do have the aspect of the architect and the opposition. So, okay, let's go to Friday. Friday morning, 4:30 in the morning, we have the moon headed towards a conjunction to Pluto. We have a grand Earth trine here. So you see how Pluto is trine Uranus, which has been there, and Pluto's retrograde now, Uranus is retrograde, Pluto's retrograde, but Pluto's not going to go back any further than that 29 degrees, and then when it goes direct in November 19th, by November 19th, it'll hit Aquarius. So, yeah. And then we'll have Pluto in Aquarius for 20 years until, January 19th, 2044. Then Pluto will move into Pisces. That's a long ways off. So anyway, the other trine here you can see to Pluto is the sun, but it's 8 degrees away. This is a really wide orb. And then the sun over to Uranus. So the energies are facts, details, divine order, shining a light on how to. You get the facts, you track the patterns, you connect all the dots, and then you can bring in the divine order, and that can bring through more security, especially financial security, and intuitive in the body, empathic guidance as well with Uranus and Taurus, and then can bring through deep empowerment. So that's wonderful. So yeah, aspect of the architect there. This is a really good day for getting things done on Friday. Let's see, as the hours move by, let's see how long it takes to get, oops, I didn't mean to do that. There's 8 degrees. That's only 10:30 in the morning. The moon close to Pluto. So I'm going to say between 10 in the morning and into the evening, 10:30 at night, 11:30 at night. Yeah. So all day. All day, all night. The moon hooking up with Pluto, that's intense. But it can be a very, very powerful force for getting on board with your path in life, for letting go of whatever needs to, and you can kind of quickly let go of whatever needs to be let go of, if that's the case. But also, notice back in here, yeah, the moon is in a tight square to Eris. So again, it's like, it's more power to the women. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Saturday. Saturday, the moon's in Aquarius at 12:53 a.m. Early before. So if you stay up late enough, you'll have the experience of moon in Aquarius first thing, but then that might kind of energize and wake you up, because Aquarius it's ruled by Uranus, and we're talking the nervous system, and yeah. It could make for some excellent dreamtime guidance coming through, though. And again, you can see the double trine going down to Uranus, so it's, the like energy, Uranus and Aquarius. So, but the flavor of the moon when it hits Aquarius will be more geared towards networking. And so first thing in the morning, Saturday, even though it's usually not a work day, it's probably a good day for networking, or will definitely be a really good day for networking. If you're not into networking, it could be a really good day for organizing, getting things into certain categories, and getting things the way you want them, because Aquarius can be really good for inventing opportunities for yourself. Reinventing yourself, but maybe reinventing your environment around you as well. And as you start the process of either networking or reorganizing or connecting with a lot of other ideas, you'll have those aha moments, those awarenesses of the right way to go, or to get the things done that you're wanting to get done. So, and you can see the sun has moved to 22 degrees of Virgo, and it is trining, it's moving towards, every day it's going to be, and even into next week, where we are going to experience, this is the beginning of a week-long process of, more than a week-long process of experiencing a nice flow of energy to help bring more power into your life, empower yourself, maybe even experiencing a lot of just like solar plexus power, tummy you know, empathic power, because Virgo rules the digestive and the endocrine system. So this could be really good for getting even more healthier. Here, there can be discernment and protocols and guidelines that you can follow to become even stronger. Especially anything to do with the bones and the skeletal system and connective tissues. That's Saturn territory, which Saturn rules Capricorn. So that aspect up to Pluto. And with the connection to the moon up there, this could be new information. Like maybe you connect with, maybe you're gathering information online with the moon in Aquarius. That's very connected to the internet. And you're gathering info that you're getting online as to become healthier with your diet. And you're trying out different things. Or gathering the information to try out new things. And you have to be careful too, because there's a lot of information about this is good and this is da 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 da. Not for everybody. You really have to figure out. I mean, that's why I love the blood type diet, because it works. I've tried it and it works, and it's not a one size fits all. But if you look online or you look on YouTube, everybody will say, "Oh, you have to eat super beets." Well, I don't digest beets well, and they're gross. Anyway, that's just one little simple example. So again, nutrition and diet is not constant. It's just not a one size fits all. So it's good to figure out what works for you. Okay, South Node to Mars. Yeah, North Node, that's still happening. It's getting tighter. Look at that. It's only 1 degree away. So that's tight. But look how fast Mars moves in 1 week. So, okay, let's see. Let's go to Sunday. And Sunday we just have the aspects to the moon. So I think what I'll do here is I'm going to go to the tight orb. And we'll just go hour by hour this way. So first thing, I set it at 6 a.m. thinking, most people have that day off. So we don't have any tight aspect there. We do have Saturn in a semi-square to Pluto. So there's something there's like action that needs to be taken, or there's indecision about an action that that you need to take, and this is your time to figure that out. Now you can see how tight that orb is. We are within minutes of being exact in an exact T-square between Mars and the nodes. So again, it's just this week is so much about developing that foundation of sensitivity and security. And most of all, Cancer is geared towards growth. So what do you want to grow in your life? What is it that you want to grow in your life? And then there's all that energy there to work it, to plant the seeds and literally grow whatever it is. So, okay, let's just go through hour by hour here and until we get some aspects to the moon. Now we have a trine at 10 a.m. The moon is trining Jupiter. So this is expansive levels of information to help you get out of duality. You're out of the either or mindset, and you're thinking outside the box, with the moon in Aquarius bringing through probably some information from online, or maybe you're attending a webinar, or it's an online situation usually. If it's not, and it's actually like in person, this could be really fun, because it's the moon with the South Node in Libra and the moon in Aquarius is very sociable. People like getting together. It's like kindred spirits, and then there can be a lot of expansion in sharing information and learning new things and communicating. So, yeah, and then Mercury has the sesquisquare going over to Eris. So, yeah, I would think this has to do with uh, more and more people getting together. This, there's a lot about fighting for humanity and sharing more information and ways to do that. Okay, so let's keep going. So moving throughout the day. Now, 11 a.m., we have a grand air trine. That's cool. Coming from Venus, so there you go. There's the feminine coming in there. Unity, harmony, fairness, justice, equality for all. That's inclusive. It's not exclusive. And, like the hell with these, like, country club, whatever, we think we know what's best, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. Jupiter's bringing in more information in how to create win-win situations. And then the sun, in conjunct over to Chiron, and close, it won't be long before, it will be another day before it hits Eris, but still the energy's it's vibing there already, for adjustments to be made, because we want that divine order. We want justice and fairness and equality. And we don't want to leave anybody out, because everyone matters. That's what that's about. Okay, let's keep going throughout the rest of the day. Okay, now 1 hour later, by noon, we have a sesquisquare coming from the moon to Mars. So that can bring through some kind of a disruption. There can be some kind of a detour in maybe what you're vibing with and what you really want. Okay, now that's an important discernment there. You can be picking up on the vibes of what's going on, but when you really feel into it, it's something, it doesn't sit right with your tummy. It might be a little too, like something's out there, but it doesn't make you feel safe and secure. Okay? If this has to do with food, because Cancer is definitely related to food and the tummy, right? And the moon in Aquarius, you might be feeling a little more adventurous or whatever. You're trying out some kind of new food at a restaurant or something. Be careful. Just only have a little tiny bit and then wait and see how you feel. If you feel a drop in power or just anything, then back off. Yeah. And you can see we still have that grand air trine. So it is a very sociable time. Let's keep going. There's the aspect of the architect at 1 p.m. from Chiron to the moon over to Venus. So Sunday's a really, really good day for having fun, getting out or hanging out with people, or just having fun by yourself, trying out new things. It could be about that. And let your gifts come through. Let yourself be a little more adventurous. And what's the right word? Trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. Okay, let's keep going there. Yeah, then we lose the trine, but we still have the sextile. We have the moon sextiling Chiron for hours in the afternoon, which is nice. So feeling into all the new things that you would like to experience. Trusting your intuition. It would be the moon in Aquarius, that would be a really good way to use it. And then find those inner gifts. If you're moving forward with your intuition and trusting your instincts, it doesn't get any better than that. It just doesn't. It doesn't. There's, this can be finding your unique genius within. That's only you. This is, we all have our own unique, but finding it is, those make for memorable events, and I would suggest that you write them down. There can be some major divine guidance coming through in the afternoon on Sunday. The moon is also in a semi-square to Ceres, So it, it might be some type of needing to trust yourself. And if there's some friction coming from somebody that's a little stodgy or whatever, just just let it go. No big deal. Especially with the fact that Pluto is also still in that semi-square to Saturn. So yeah, but other than that, I think I'll just get this uploaded because this video is already getting super long, and yeah, the bigger the file, the longer it takes to upload. But just sending you big hugs, and ahead of time, especially lots of prayers going out for an easier, maybe a more gentle experience of the 9/11 anniversary. So yeah, okay. Take good care, everyone. Bye.